So, Francie, gur míle maithagad as seo agus time lán sásta the bhean sa live seo in you. I'm really, but would you believe this is my first visit to this farm centre? I think Francie and Elaine and Damien were quite shocked by that, but as they say, better late than never. And here I am. So thank you sincerely for the opportunity to be here and to speak with you and to listen to you also about the future of Irish farming. I should say I'm clearly, as you can hear, I'm a Dubliner, but my mother is a Tipperary woman from the south of Tip, from the Glen of Aherla, and they are dairy farmers. So I know a little bit I had early childhood exposure to dairy farming and all matters related. So they're my bona fides now, Francie, out on the table for you.
So some would say it was a wise decision you took to move the other way.
Well, my mother gets credited for that now, in fairness to her. So let me start by saying that the family farm, is, as you know, at the heart of rural communities, intertwined with the people in those communities, and of course the cornerstone of rural economies. This has been the case for generations and should be the role that the family farm plays for generations to come. And agriculture is and remains the backbone of the Irish economy, the all-island economy at that. Sinn Féin believe that Irish family farmers deserve a government that will deliver fair prices, a fair cap and fair play across the board. Our approach is one of collaboration and partnership. Francie, we are team players. That is how our approach will be if we get the chance to lead the next government. We want to engage and to work with farmers and the sector to secure a successful future for Irish agriculture. The level of uncertainty in today's world is undeniable. And I know that the farming sector has faced significant challenge in recent times, linked to rising costs that you've referenced, falling incomes that you've referenced, market volatility, and real barriers to the viability for the family farm, and of course generational renewal. The future of Irish farming depends on supporting young farmers to enter the sector and to stay there. So we do need a partnership approach between government and agriculture to chart our way forward. We want to work with you to increase farming incomes. In government, we would establish a commission on the future of the family farm. We've talked about this for a long while, with farming voices at the core, that will be tasked with bringing forward strategies to allow family farms to break free from survival mode into a future of sustainability and prosperity. It's also about creating a viable pathway for younger people to come to farm, to live on farms in a sustainable way, but also to live on farms with vibrant rural communities. It will also help devise strategies on how we secure quality food production and farming methods that are modern, cutting edge, but also, in addition to producing food, support biodiversity and the farming community playing its part in the future and meeting the biodiversity and climate issues. And can I say, at this juncture, it has been always my experience in talking to farmers, whether it's at the ploughing match or in meetings with yourselves or otherwise, that the farming community is up for that challenge. Sometimes there's a false narrative that there is those pursuing the good course in terms of the climate challenge and biodiversity and those pushing back against it. That has never been my experience. Never, ever once been my experience in talking to farmers. And we might tease that out a little bit more in the questions and answers. We want to, it's also true that key farming sectors haven't received the support that they need from government. We want to change that by delivering an enhanced and simplified suckler payment for beef farmers, by assisting sheep farmers with an increased sheep improvement scheme payment, by increasing income disregards in the Farm Assist scheme. We would increase investment in the tillage incentive scheme. There certainly need to be radical improvements in the administration of government and EU payment schemes. In recent times, we've seen chaos and delays in basic payment, ANC and eco schemes, and in particular with the acres payments. This has a direct impact on farming incomes, and farmers, of course, deserve much better than that. Another big challenge is the price that farmers receive for your produce. The dominance of processors and retailers means that farmers don't get a fair price. The lack of transparency in the system means that farmers are forced to take prices from factories, processors and retailers that often act like cartels. That, I believe, to be very unfair. We believe that the scope is there to beef up the powers of the agri-food regulator, including powers of corporate enforcement for the regulator. There must be full transparency. Everyone knows how much the farmer gets paid by the factory. Everyone knows how much the consumer pays in the supermarket. But nobody outside a very limited circle knows who makes the huge profits off your product in between. So we need, and I am determined that we have the mechanisms to ensure fair prices and a fair return for farmers. Sinn Féin in government will fight for an increased CAP budget at EU level, at a time when Ireland will be contributing substantially more to the EU budget. We should be in a strong position to demand that there is increased funding for the programme that is most important to us. We can't keep asking farmers to do more while receiving less and less support. That's not reasonable. The next Irish government must work for better outcomes for our farmers from our membership of the European Union. Irish farming deserves a fair CAP. You deserve fair play. The outgoing government agreed an EU budget that is bad for Ireland and bad for Irish farming. You got more obligations and less funding in real terms. A Sinn Féin government will fight for a fairer and increased CAP. That will require an all-of-government effort, and if I am Taoiseach, I will lead that effort. Irish governments should ensure that EU free trade agreements protect and support Irish farmers. Mercosur does exactly the opposite of that. You will, I hope, know of our years of work in fighting against Mercosur. We are not new to this position or this argument, and we stand foursquare with the IFA in opposition to this regressive and rotten trade deal. It will put farmers and our environment both in a much weaker position. The risks to Irish agriculture from the entry of hundreds of thousands of additional tonnes of South American beef into the EU market could not and should not be underestimated. The Mercosur trade deal offers nothing positive for Ireland. It is bad for farming, our most important indigenous sector, bad for our overall economy, and, mark this, disastrous for the environment. Disastrous for the environment. Waiting for negotiations to conclude on additional legal instruments for a bad trade deal will not reduce the damage Mercosur will cause to the environment and to farmers. So the government, in our view, is talking out of both sides of its mouth when they tell Irish farmers that they're opposed to this deal. Unless government notifies the European Commission now of Ireland's opposition, we'll know that Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil simply can't be trusted on this question. The next government must put a stop to this deal. It's as simple as that. I want to reiterate again that Sinn Féin is committed to retaining the nitrates derogation. And I want to assure you, we're good at putting on the green jersey, as you can probably appreciate. So we will certainly wear the green jersey on this question. The government decision to sign up to a flawed review mechanism in the recent programme left Irish farming exposed to potentially huge financial pressure, especially those who are encouraged by the government to invest in dairy. Another further dilution of the derogation will damage farmers' livelihoods and the rural economy. The next government must protect and enhance our water quality and the nitrates derogation. It is possible to do both, and Sinn Féin are committed to doing both. Family farmers are increasingly being asked to take action or adjust their practices in order to reach climate and biodiversity targets. To date, the government's approach towards meeting climate targets in agriculture has largely been finger pointing at farmers rather than giving the needed support to make the changes that are required. We would change this approach by ensuring that support and funding come first. The Climate Action Plan sets out targets for a range of agricultural sectors and practices. For these to be met, funding must be provided. Sinn Féin would therefore increase investment in tillage, horticulture and less. The farmer takes all the risk. They must be fairly paid for this risk. Farmers are the original custodians of the land, and we have to trust you. We have to trust you to make the best decisions for your livestock and for your communities. Our aim and ambition is to work with farmers to secure the future of Irish farming. We'll engage with farmers and the IFA with energy and purpose to develop agricultural programmes that deliver sustainability and success. We'll work with you to dismantle the barriers to generational renewal, ensuring that young people once again see farming as a viable livelihood. We'll provide funding for farmers outside of CAP for biodiversity and nature restoration measures, including a dedicated nature restoration fund. We'll ensure that farmers are assisted with taking action to meet environment and biodiversity targets through increased support and investment. In conclusion, Ireland has the best farmers in the world. I believe there's no limit to what Irish agriculture and rural Ireland can achieve with the right government backing it. A Sinn Féin-led government will stand shoulder to shoulder with our farmers and with our rural communities to build a better future. We'll work with you to secure fair prices, a fair cap, and at long last, fair play for Ireland's farming families. So, we go to the electorate, as you know, looking to change the government, and we ask that you give us the chance to lead, and we assure you that we will not let you down. Go raibh míle maith agam.